friends, thanks for joining me. Well, let's get started on our Halloween journal. Since I feel like this is sort of a community event, this is the journal that I'm doing for the giveaway, I'm going to do process videos for you guys. I'll show you what I'm doing in the journal, how I'm building it, how I'm creating it. Some of it I will talk through and some of it I will put music to. So I hope you will join along and enjoy the ride with me. I have the ephemera here that you guys sent to me, and then I also gathered up some of my own Halloween stuff along with some of my dyed papers, some vintage envelopes, some music paper, some eco-dyed paper, and that is some of my gray dyed paper. So here are the pieces of the scrapbook paper that I'm going to intend to use. I really want this journal to be impressive, so I am not cutting the paper down. This journal will be 12 inches tall and it will be 6 inches wide. It'll be quite a piece that somebody could have out on their table as part of their Halloween decor if they wanted to. If they didn't want to, they can just keep it as a personal treasure. I'm also going to create this in a way that it can be used as a scrapbook. So if somebody would like to put photographs in it, they can do that, and then they can journal about the memory of whatever that photograph is. So there's going to be plenty of room for that. So as you can see here, I am simply folding the pages in half and just prepping them to become signatures. Once I get them all folded in half, I see how many pages I have, and then I will divide that in 3 because this is going to be what I would consider to be a large journal. I definitely want there to be 3 signatures. For any of you who don't know what that means, it's kind of like a chapter. Now I'm also going to add to each one of these piles some of my dyed paper, my eco dyed paper, and my Halloween dyed paper. Now that I have my 3 piles, which are also my 3 signatures, I am going to go ahead and put them in the order that I think that I want them to be. I like to do this so that I can sort of spread things equally through the signatures. So I wouldn't want like 2 green ones in a row or 2 orange ones in a row. I try not to do that. So, and you can see here that I have a scrapbook paper, and then I have a piece of my Halloween paper, and then another scrapbook paper, and then my eco-dyed paper, and then another piece of scrapbook paper. And that is basically going to be one full signature. I'm going to do that with the other 2, and then we will get ready to start adding some pockets. Many times people will mention to me that even though my journals are so full of interesting things, and they might not all be like items, everything goes really well together. It works. And one of the reasons that I think my journals come together like that is because of the way I put these pages together. I do it very thoughtfully, and I make sure that it's pleasing to the eye. At least it is to me. So if somebody doesn't have my same sort of taste, it might not be to them, but at least it is to me. Once I get my pages in the order that I want them to be in, then I will begin making pockets. I want to mention that even though I take the time to get them in order, occasionally I will end up moving them as the journal comes together. And that's why I don't sew my journal together before I start adding my pockets and all of that good stuff. I like to leave it open for change. Just so that when the end product finally comes around, I'm really happy with it. I have some 12-inch strips from one of the Halloween paper pads that I have, so I'm going to use some of those for side pockets and also for belly bands. So here I am, I have just glued one on as a side pocket, and as usual, I am using my clothespins to hold it down while it dries. Here I'm going to cut this piece to size so that I can create a belly band. Now we're just putting in the plain pieces of paper. We're going to go back later and actually embellish them. But right now I just want to get most of the pockets in and most of the belly bands in. I think it is worth mentioning that frequently I will use offcuts from my scrapbook papers to create the belly bands and the side pockets. That way I'm using up scraps, and in this case I actually had some offcuts from maybe a Halloween album that I did a few years ago, but since it's all Halloween themed, it all works together and the colors work together. And also, my friend Kathy of Kathy's Favorite Things sent me some Halloween paper, actually some what I think were offcuts from her, and I'm going to end up using all of those in this album as well. I have this beautiful gray and purple paper. It's got purple flowers on it and it's got spiders on it, and I just absolutely love this scrapbook paper. I'm going to create a pocket out of a piece of this. And I wanted to mention the way that I go about doing this is you'll notice I'll put a pocket on this page, but then I might actually skip a couple of pages. I might not skip a couple of pages, but I wanted to explain to you what's going on in my brain if I do skip a page or so, just like I did there. I have my materials around me. They're on my desk. They're ready to go. And I look for things that work together. I look for things that inspire me to combine together. And if I don't see that, then I'll end up skipping that page. And I'll go back to it later when perhaps I have found something that does inspire me to use on the page. So I grabbed a piece of scrapbook paper here, and it's kind of thin. It's not a thick scrapbook paper. So you can see I folded it not quite in half, but into thirds, I suppose. Anyway, I did that. I folded it over to give it a thicker edge, because that'll be the edge that the tags will go in and out of the pocket on. So over time there gets to be a little wear and tear, and I just like to have a thicker edge so that it can stand up to that over the course of many, many years. This will be the center spread of this first signature, so I'm not going to do anything to that because I don't know what I want to do to it. So I'm just going to skip that, and I've decided to use this vintage paper. I found this vintage paper either at the thrift store or maybe at the flea market, probably at the flea market. It already had the writing on it, so I'm leaving that on there. Somebody, it looks like, maybe was practicing geometry. The rest of the papers are clean, just this one has writing on it. So like I said, I'm going to leave it on there, and I'm cutting the other ones to size, and we will be adding that onto a page for some writing space. I have decided to create a side pocket with a bottom tab to hold a tag in place on this striped piece of paper. I am using a piece of bat paper that my friend Kathy at Kathy's Favorite Things sent to me. So I'll be creating the little side, I guess it's more like a side tuck, and the tab out of that. I'm inking the edges just to make sure there's no white showing. You know, sometimes after you cut scrapbook paper, it has like a little bit of a white edge, and I just didn't want that to show.
I also used my corner rounder for just 2 of the corners on each one of these pieces. On this page, I've decided to create a belly band, and I'm going to go ahead and look through my pile of papers that I have, my offcuts that I have, and see what I think will work well on this. So as you can see, it's green and black striped. I think it is very, very cool. So I want to find just the right pattern. And I think I really like how these spider webs look on here. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. All right, this signature is done for now as far as pockets go. I am going to probably end up adding more, but that's all I felt like I could do with that one for now. So let's get started on the next one. So in one of my scrapbook pads, I have some more of these 12-inch strips, I guess, and so I'm going to go ahead and cut some more of these off because I like being able to use them as pockets and belly bands. I really like this page. I think it's really interesting with the frames on it, but I really wasn't sure what to do with it. So I've decided to start really simple, and we're just going to use a nice plain black piece of paper, and I'll either go ahead and make this a belly band or a side pocket. We'll go back later and decorate it, but I think that's a good place to start. Once I got this piece on, I remembered that I had cut those strips, and I thought, you know what, let's see what strips might look good on top of this black piece, and that'll be a really simple way to decorate that and make it work. So I have found this one. Again, I am inking the edges to make sure there's no white showing, and then I'm just going to use my tacky glue and just glue that right on there. I think purple and green go really well together, especially like this lime green. And what you see here is a piece of my eco-dyed paper on a green cardstock, and I absolutely love the way it turned out, and I think it is perfect for this Halloween journal. So I'm putting a little side tuck spot there with a little tab again on the bottom, and I use these tabs in all of my journals now. I'm sort of addicted to them, but they help hold tags and papers in place so they don't slide out of the bottom of your journal. So here we have turned to this page with these orange beetles on it, and I'm using more of this vintage paper that I have in my stash, and I am going to layer 2 pieces together, and then I will glue that to the beetle page. On this page, I'd like to go ahead and use one of these vintage envelopes. These are from the 1980s. Most of the ones that I have are from the 80s, some from the very early 90s. I took a stack of them and coffee dyed them, so they're just pretty much at the ready for whenever I want to use them. So in this case, I cut the end off and I cut the bottom off because I'm going to use it as a flip. So right there I can flip that up. So I can either put paper inside or I can simply draw lines on it and somebody can just flip it up and write on it if they'd like to. Or if they wanted to, they can add a photograph inside, or they can write inside and add a photograph on the outside of the envelope. There's so many choices when you are using one of these fun and eccentric journals. You can do pretty much anything you want with them. I have a page from a book and it's a black and white, which is awesome. And so I want to use this as a tuck spot as well. So I'm folding it over like I did the other one just to give it some strength, and plus it's too big anyway. But instead of cutting it, I'm folding it over and it gives a little strength to the edge. And this is actually a picture of a graveyard, but there is a man and a woman and they are laying in the graveyard and they're kissing. And it's just such a peculiar picture, but I thought it would be a fun addition to this Halloween journal. Going to flip through now to see when I find something that inspires me to work on it. I'm not going to commit to the center spread yet. And so I think I'm going to stop here and see what I can do with this page. I've decided to create a belly band using this nice bold black and white paper, and I'm going to layer that with the purple floral paper, and I think that is going to look great on this page. Piece of my gray dyed paper, and I think I want to use that on this orange piece. So I want to tear the edges. I want to give everything a nice rough edge, and then I'm simply going to glue it down on this orange piece. I think the gray and the orange look really cool together, and I just sort of am in the mood for something simple. Now before I glue that down, I'm going around all of the edges with a black marker, which gives the same effect that inking it with an ink pad would. So if you ever want to ink something but you don't have an ink pad, or you want to use a color that you don't have in an ink pad, you can do this with any color marker, and I do this all the time. And you'll see in one of my later videos while creating this journal that I'll use a green one quite frequently because I do not have a green ink pad and I don't plan on buying one. Well, I do have green. I have a nice dark green that I would use in like a garden journal or something, but the one I end up using is more of a bright sort of lime green. I got this image out of a book, and I don't know why, but I just feel like it is perfect for a Halloween journal. So we're going to put this on one of the pages just simply as a visual piece of artwork. Friends, I've got all of the pockets into this journal that I want to put in today. This will be the last one. We will pick up where we left off in the next video. So gather all your Halloween goodies and plan on spending some time creating with me. Thanks for watching. See you soon.